First, let's hear from the South African Union of Students.
Monash, I think, was bought out by a private company, and so you ask yourself, what is the future of those particular students? It will concern us ordinarily as a union, because what is the future of their qualifications and so forth?
What is the future of their qualifications is one of the questions that we will explore with our guest this morning. Prof. Alwyn and Louw, good morning. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And just to double check, Dr. Felicity Coughlan, you are on the line. Can you hear me? And welcome as well. First, I'll start here with Prof. Louw. Monash, South Africa. Why pull out of South Africa now?
Monash University has been involved in the country for 18 years. It is committed to stay in for a further 4 years at least to support the opportunity for students to complete their studies. During this period, Monash South Africa has developed into an independent institution. We have all the accreditation of all the programs in South Africa. The institution is fully accredited in South Africa. And for that reason, Monash South Africa has created a sufficient base to continue as an independent institution. But that is not the only reason. Monash University is busy with a program globally in terms of strengthening its research position, its ranking. And South Africa at the current moment is not part of that strategy. And for that reason, I think it did the right thing to support and stayed in South Africa until the institution has reached a stage where it can continue to deliver quality
What's
services.
the future then of the qualifications? We had the student, the leader there yesterday on Jane Dutton's show saying, what's our future with our qualifications?
All qualifications are accredited in South Africa. Nothing will change on the accreditation of qualifications, the credibility of qualifications. All students registered for qualifications will be able to continue to complete those qualifications, receive certificates as they registered for. No risk exists. That is a full commitment. Understanding that the new ownership is a well-established and large entity as well. So the commitments are there. There is no risk.
Okay, Dr. Coughlan, let me bring you in now on the line. This looks like AdVTech is really growing its portfolio of universities and colleges that it owns. Is this a good deal in terms of the vision where you're going to paying 340 million rand for Monash?
I think it is, absolutely. As Prof. Louw has just said, the Monash South Africa campus has over the last 18 years grown into a highly credible private South African higher education provider. Now, given that the Independent Institute of Education, which is AdVTech's higher education branch, already has 33,000 students up to master's level, we are the obvious choice for a partnership with MSA to take their growth and ours forward. We get what students are concerned about, but it's mostly based on misinformation. And I think that the part that students are not understanding is, number one, what they registered for is what they will get. Number two, MSA has, if one thinks about it, really grown up into their own shoes in the last 18 months and will now be a critical strategic part of the country's largest private provider, which is in fact bigger than more than half of the country's publics. So those are the things that we're really hoping that we can get students to understand.
Are you going to be streamlining Monash? I mean, there's been some commentators who say that it's likely at that price tag that as part of your vision into the future, you might want to do some restructuring of sorts?
I think the reality is that we're going to leverage the best of what we can across both institutions as we become one. But the campus is a campus that can accommodate 6,500 students and currently has 3,000 students. So the reality is our primary focus is to grow the qualifications available on that campus to students and therefore to increase the opportunities available to students and staff. Some things will obviously be rationalized. It would make no sense to operate two finance systems or two IT systems. That's real. And some institutional functions, etc., may well change. But when you've got 3,500 students on a campus with a capacity of almost double that, then obviously the core strategic intention is growth and additional opportunities for students and staff.
Yeah. Now, let's just come back to you, Prof. Louw. Some of the comments by students that they were not happy about how Monash has managed this transition, this sell to AdVTech, and that it could have been handled better. Would you agree with that sentiment, or do you think you guys have handled it as best as you could?
I think we handled it as best we could. We have to understand that this is a transaction between shareholders and a potential buyer. So that whole process unfolded as part of that negotiation. Inevitably, until the stage where there's an agreement with whoever the buyer may be, there is nothing real that you can communicate about. And this was finalized on Friday. So in other words, the signing happened on Friday. Within the regulatory limitations, the announcement was done on Tuesday morning. So we immediately communicated the moment there was a final position. And as far as possible, we keep on communicating and making sure that everyone understands precisely what the implications are.
Dr. Coughlan, they're saying that students will get what they've paid for. Yep. And we've seen some students saying we've paid for internationally recognized qualifications. You're saying you're still around for the next 4 years as a transition to AdVTech, as Monash.
Okay, so
all students.
Monash will be, yes. So let's look at this. All students will get what they're currently registered for, and registrations, because there's still the Competition Commission process to go. All students who register in the first semester of next year are going to be registering on the same conditions as existing students, because we still need approval from the Competition Commission and from the Department of Higher Education and Training. Once that has happened, then students will be able to register on a basket of qualifications which remain registered and accredited in South Africa as the current ones are.
Now, Dr. Coughlan, from what you are saying, this deal, this transaction is still subject to regulatory approval.
Absolutely.
What could still go wrong to scupper it?
The only thing that can go wrong at this stage is if the Competition Commission or the departmental approval does not happen. But those are the only things, and that process is going on.
Now, Dr. Coughlan, you are a conglomerate in education terms in the sector as AdVTech. You're listed on the stock exchange. I mean, you own a number of other private colleges. Are you confident you will go through all the hoops with the Competition Commission?
Well, we certainly wouldn't have proceeded with the transaction without having done a very careful scan of the market conditions. Private higher education, which includes MSA and the IE and all our brands, currently constitutes less than 10% of higher education registration in the country. So, and I mean, you will be aware of the growth of other large privates over the last several years. So we are very confident in our position that we followed everything that we should have. But obviously, with due respect for the Competition Commission process, we will deal with any concerns that arise as they do, because this is of strategic importance to us and to the future of MSA.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Coughlan. That's Dr. Felicity Coughlan from AdVTech, and Professor Louw as well from Monash, who's still around in the country as Monash for another 4 years.
We will commit it, we will be here to support students for 4 years, and after that we will continue to go strong.